We're just here in one of the landscapes that we manage, and it's a larger garden, so it requires a different type of management, really looking at how we can tend the wild to produce food, increase biodiversity and make the management less overwhelming. So really what we're doing is we're applying specific techniques to favour the plants we want and increase that diversity, and to then reduce the vigour of any weed species that aren't desirable in our intentions for the land. You look at a vegetable garden, and in a vegetable garden you're growing very tender baby-like plants that need looking after all the time, whereas you grow perennials and wild forageable plants, and actually today we've got thousands available to us from around the world. So if you cultivate them, they are stronger, wilder type plants that actually can cope with competition in the environment. But not only that, they're also, because they are quite wild and they've come from their wild genotype, they tend to have much higher nutritional quality. So this landscape, as we tend it and we incorporate more and more diversity of edible and useful plants, we're also incorporating a diverse diet, but a resilient diet, that if something fails, that's fine, because there's other things we can come and forage. This end of the garden has been left for quite a few years, and understandably brambles have taken that opportunity to get established. It was brambles about a few metres tall, and so I came through and cleared it with a long reach hedge trimmer. And when that's cleared, that then creates the opportunity to establish a new planting, because the brambles are quite a dominant plant that shades out underlying species. So when they're cleared, you end up with a bare soil like this. That then means that if we rake through that, and here what we're doing is we're doing a surface cultivation, just to till the surface layer to fluff it up, ready for seeding into it. So here, by surface tilling, we are disturbing the soil enough to enhance the growth and the germination of the wildflowers that we're putting down here. And we're going to sow a woodland wildflower meadow with the incorporation of different forageable, edible and medicinal wildflowers. And we're going to use a combination of seed and plug planting, because this is a large planting that actually, if we use seed and plugs, it means that we can get really a large amount of plants to create an ecological planting. And because we're at this transitional stage where we've cleared the brambles, created an opportunity for wildflowers to be established, then going on from that is, as the wildflowers are emerging from seed, they actually benefit from being cut back on rotation. Because if you imagine a wildflower grows up, you cut it once, it then goes into 3 shoots, you cut it again, and it can then go into 5 shoots. So that all of those shoots actually then spread out across the soil and takes up the space that any other weeds would if that was a bare space. So by cutting it back on rotation, we are favouring the wildflowers. However, the brambles, nettles and hogweed don't like being cut back on rotation. So actually, as they emerge and we're cutting them back about every 4 to 6 weeks, that's removing their energy and favouring the wildflowers. And actually, by doing this management technique, we are deterring the plants we don't want through cutting and favouring the wildflowers that we want. And really, this form of gardening is looking at how we can tend the wild to produce our food source, food, medicine, resources, but doing that in amongst and in some symbiosis with the wildlife. So we're not pushing them out, and this is actually how people have lived with the natural environment around them without degrading it for thousands of years. When I work in a landscape or garden, I really see it as a collaboration with my clients. I want it to be an interactive process where actually we're working together on the landscape to tend it, and I'm actively teaching them about the plants and how to manage it so it's not overwhelming. And that's why a lot of my work really steps back and doesn't want to just impose ideas onto the landscape, and really looking at how we can grow and design a landscape over longer periods of time, actually doing smaller steps but allowing it to be an organic design process where we're creating one project and then working to constantly actually incorporate more diversity, more food, more wildlife habitat, but doing it over a longer period of time. So it's not only developing the land, it's developing the knowledge and understanding of the clients, of the environment around them, so they make it their own.